Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Joshua and welcome to Rooftop. In today's workshop, we're going to see how we can, recycle, the things we have at home and how we can create an artwork out of it. So over here, I have, the tape that we get, the cello tape or the silver tape. So I've taken an empty, whatever you would call this, I've taken that center part and we're going to create something out of it. Okay, so let's see how do we go about it. So before I start, if you know what this is called, you can let me know in the comments. But we'll start by using this. I think I have two here. Okay, so I have this over here, and then I have a piece of cardboard also. Because what we need is to make a base for the bottom layer. Okay, so what I'll do first is so we can do one of two things. We can either place this here, draw a circle and then cut it around, or what we can also do is we can stick it onto this, and once it is stuck, we can start cutting over it. Okay, before I do that, let me just, since we have a lot of cutting involved, let me just take my mat over here. So if you have a mat at home, this will help avoid, like any sort of damage being done to the table. Oh, the color changed. Okay. Even quite reddish in color. Let me. Oh, okay. Not sure why that is happening. Let me try changing the color. Okay, I think we can work with that. Alright, so what I will do is I will put this down here. So it's just a piece of cardboard that I'm taking. You can see it's clearly used. So I'll put this here and I'll place this on top. Then I will take a pencil, push it down hard, and I can start off by drawing or by tracing around it. So we'll try to make it a bit bigger than what it is. Bigger, I mean just a few millimeters, not too much also. I hope you can hear me. Okay, cool. So I'll just darken this. Okay, so we have the circle drawn over here. Now what I will do is I have a cutter with me. So I will start off by just from the sides. I'll just cut it off like this first, and see here. Then I'll do the same thing this side. I will tell you why in just a sec. So we'll do it for all four sides. Okay. And then here also. And try not using a very thick one. This one is, I think, about like 2 millimeters thick. It's not very very thick. So it'll be relatively easier to cut. Okay. So now what I will do is I will just start off by cutting it from the outside like this. You can keep it a bit janky like that. So we're not trying to make a perfect circle from the get-go. We are just trying to separate it basically. You see? Okay. So you need to make sure that it goes all the way through. Like that. But now you can see how we have a bit of a corner here. I will show you what we can do with that in just a bit. So first, very lightly, I will just cut around this. So I'm going to cut it layer by layer. I'm not going to try to cut it in one shot. But if you try to do that, you can end up either messing up or you could just damage your piece here. See, just go over it, a couple of times, and it will just start cutting itself. Like this. So if you have like leftover tape on the this part of the tape, if you have that, or maybe like a plastic wrap or a foil wrap also, you get the long cylindrical ones, you can use that also, and then change it based on, or design it based on the shape it is and maybe what you want to make. There, over there. So you see how much easier it is now to take it away. So that's why we did first 4 lines towards the outside of the circle. So you'll see this very commonly when it comes to glass cutting, because for glass they don't, it's not how you would cut this cardboard or anything as such. For that, they make a very thin line at the very top, and then from the corners or from 4 sides they draw a line, and then they just break it. So this snaps into a perfect outline. So taking that concept, I have done it the same way. So I'm using a bit of pressure, but enough that I can control it and enough that I will not damage this piece here. Okay, now let's be a little gentle here. This for the sharp corners. Okay, now I will place this on top. Let me put it here. Okay, so if I show it to you this way, you can see that there is still some extra cardboard here. There, like that, you can still see some extra cardboard. So now what we'll do is I will stick this onto the cardboard. I'll take my Fevicol and apply it all over here first. Make sure you add a relatively good amount. So if you feel any side is missing glue, or maybe there's very little glue, this should be enough, but I'm just taking extra measure in case. Because in the middle of the workshop, I don't want this coming out. Okay, then I will take this piece and I will place it on top like that, just like this, and I'll apply a good amount of pressure. Maybe adjust it a tiny bit. Make sure all four sides, circles don't have 4 sides. So let's apply pressure. So we need to see the glue slowly come out. Like this. Now with my finger I can just take and spread this glue in certain areas that I may feel need to be spread. Okay, like that. And I will now just let it rest for a little bit until it solidifies. But we don't want this extra part, so I will show you how we can get rid of it. Now along with this, while I keep this to dry, this is what I will be using to decorate it. So I have some acrylic markers here, and normally, I've been doing a lot of acrylic paints, but today I thought, why not, switch it up a little bit. You can use the acrylic markers over here. So I'm thinking of doing something a little like maybe a landscape-ish or something along those lines. But what you can also do is, if you have like sticker paper, you can maybe print out a design over it and then just stick it around here, and maybe at the bottom also, and if you want on the inside as well. Okay, I think that should be pretty good enough. Now I will take my blade, first experiment with it a little bit. Yeah, like this. There. So you can see how this part has cleaned out itself. So we're using this cylinder over here as a stencil, you could say. And that way it will protect your hand as well. And when you do try cutting it right, go from up to down, not from down to up. Otherwise what can happen is, since this glue is still pretty fresh, it can come out. It hasn't dried entirely yet, but it has dried just enough for us to start working on it. Let's see, I'll take it back and then pull it front. Same thing there, just like that. Same thing here. We'll remove any extra material. I'll pull it downwards towards me, and this side also. Like that. So now if you see, we have a relatively proper circle. If you have some sandpaper also at home, if by chance, it's very unlikely. But if you do have some sandpaper, then you can polish the edges also a little bit. You can just give it a gentle scrub, and then you can really polish the corners over here, the sides. Now I will move all of this away. So here we have the base already done. So now let's see what we can do. Okay. So I'll just leave this to dry. Oh, my bad. Okay, so now we can start with this. It should be pretty dry. Let me just do a quick drop test. Okay, seems good. I'm not going to test it out a bit too much right now. Okay, so I will use this extra material that I have here as a testing ground. Oh, look at that color. That is so bright. Okay, so what I can do is I can start off by, so I think I'll do something with a little bit of an illustrative element to it. So I'll give it a very sketchy kind of look. Sketchy in the sense as in sketching, not doing something wrong. So I can just pull this down a little bit in certain areas. Just like that. So this is basically blocking in. So blocking in is basically where you cover up areas with one color. It doesn't have to be perfectly covered up. It's just so that you know that, okay, this color is going to be here. And then you add all the other colors in its very basic manner. So if you've seen my basics to sketching, or basics of sketching, this is one of the techniques of shading that I show. So can anyone guess what technique am I using right now to do this? What technique am I using to cover this area here? Any guesses? You can see there are all lines only here. So based on that info, what technique am I using to fill it? Hatching, exactly. I'm using hatching. Now if you look at this over here, you can see how this is lighter and this is darker. But if you see, I've used the same pen all throughout. Why do you think that happened? Give me a guess and then I will tell you as to why that has happened. Bring this a bit lower also. Again, keeping it very rough. Not too low also, just enough that in case we do add something and there is some space at the back, there will be a little blue at least. Okay, like this. And now what I can do is I can check this purple. Okay, not bad. Getting a lot of glue stuck on my hands. Okay, so now what I can do is I can add a bit of maybe purple. So the reason why I'm adding purple, so I'm going to add some mountains at the back. But the reason why I'm adding purple is because of perspective. Now we have different types of perspective. We have linear perspective, which is basically with lines to show different types of viewing angles, you could say. So maybe a top view or bottom view. Now I'm just giving it in a very basic manner, but if I go to the technical terms, we have 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4, 5, a lot of them. So, but over here, besides linear, we have color perspective, and then we have atmospheric perspective. So what exactly are these two? Now, atmospheric perspective, it's more theoretical when it comes to atmospheric perspective. Where's my cover? Yeah, I'll just close this. So atmospheric perspective is basically when you look at something at a distance, right? So now say if you're in Mumbai and you're at Marine Drive, you can look at the buildings on the opposite side of the sea, correct? But when you look at those buildings, or the houses, you can see that it's not as clear as you would see when you were right in front of it. So the reason being that between you and between the buildings, there is atmosphere in between them. And that atmosphere is what piles up. Piles up in the sense it doesn't collect itself, it is already there. But when you look over a large distance, you can see a lot more of it. So if I keep my hand here, there is still atmosphere between me and my hand, but it's not that much to blur out my hand. Think of it like fog. But when you take it further away, like kilometers away, that's when you get to see a lot more of the atmosphere between you and the building. So that is basically the theory behind atmospheric perspective. But now when we come to color perspective, we get to see, so now we know that when the sun rises, it starts from maybe a little red and then goes orange, then yellow, and then when it's at the brightest, it'll either be yellow or you'll just see the sky blue, like that. And then when it sets again, depending on where you are in the world, sometimes it will go from white to yellow to pink and then to orange, or orange to pink to red, and then it will set. So the reason why that happens is because of the difference in atmosphere also, or the difference in the angle from where the light is coming. So now if you look at mountains, there's a lot of distance between the viewer, let's assume you or me, and the mountain that is far away. So the light that is hitting or bouncing off of the mountain, by the time it reaches you, it changes its angle, and then that will change the color. And because of that, we use color perspective. It shows a bit of depth. So let's see how can we use it. So I'll take a bit of purple here. Again, I'm going for a very cartoony look. I'm not going for a very realistic outlook. So there. So like that. I'll add this here, or maybe drag this just a little lower, like that. And if you see, it's already looking a little bit dull, a little bit different. And then over here, I can add a bit more. So now I have only one color of purple. So let's see how we can show a difference in color or a difference in tone. Oh, hello Anashka. Put this down there. Maybe here a few more smaller mountains. Right there. And this one also I can overlap it actually with this, or over this. Now I'm dragging it a little lower because I'll be adding another color on top of it. So now we have to think of it as layers. So we'll start with whatever's for the back, and then we'll start drawing or painting whatever comes in front of it. So first will be this mountain. And then we have this other mountain here, and I think I'll just add another one like this here also. What pens am I using? These are acrylic pens. Okay, like this. So now you can already guess which one is for the back and which one is closer, just by how light and dark I've made it. So now I'm painting with sketching techniques, you could say. Alright, I'll put this here. And then I can take a bit of this dark green. So before I start painting, I'll just have a look at the difference between the greens that I have. Okay, that is pretty light. And this one is even lighter. Okay. This, now I checked my colors here. You can see we have 3 different greens. This, a bit of a viridian, a bit of a leaf, and then a yellowish green. Okay, so what I will do is I'll start with the darkest color again. So now we can either think of it as maybe plateaus or flatlands, you could say. So I think what I'll do is I'll do a bit of a mix of both. Okay, so what I will do is I will take this, I'll make like relatively smaller hills. I'll make hills, not mountains now. Let me show you there. Now I'll just make it as rough as possible. I'm not trying to go for anything, specific or anything too accurate. Because mountains, when you go to see, the edges are very random. And sometimes what may be a hole one day, the next day you might have trees over there. Sorry, not trees, maybe snow, let's say. Or maybe there could be a landslide and the entire terrain could change. So the terrain is very random, it's very mixed. Like this. Now you can see it already starting to take place. Now I'll just go down from here. I'll just cover a bit more towards the bottom side. Don't worry about that, it will easily get covered up. So again, I asked you earlier, you can see how these two are 2 different colors, this one and this, but it is from the same pen that I'm doing it. Why is that happening? Can anyone tell me? Why is the same color looking so different? I'll take this a little lower. Same thing here, I'll pull this down. It is still a little too high. Okay, like that. I'll keep it down like this so that you can see. Now I will take my green, this middle green color, and then I can start painting the bottom area here. Now I'll show you something really cool once I just cover up this entire area down. like that. Okay, and then I'll keep this open. I'll take this darker green that I had. I'll just start adding a few very rough lines towards the front. I'm trying to use as little pressure as I can. Just like that. Like this. Then I'll take my lighter green pen. And while the paint is still a little wet, I will start going upwards like this. Same thing on this side. Like that. And then some few random green lines over here. Just like this. So you can see how we're already getting so much depth with just these colors. I think this I can maybe darken it a bit more. It's a little too much gap. So I'll take my purple color again. And this is only to correct, I'm not going to cover it entirely, just a little bit. Yeah, that much should be enough. Maybe over here. Yeah, like that. So you can see how we're already having, like a small hill over here. We have mountains at the back, and slowly coming towards the farmland, you could say. Like that. Now I will take my white. Oh, this is my white color. Or is it another color? Okay, so my white does seem to be working. Scared me there a bit. Okay, now over here, I'll just very roughly add. Now what I'm drawing is not clouds, but a structure that looks similar to the clouds that you would see. So what I mean by that is, in my head, I'm not thinking that I want this cloud to be like that, like this. In my head, I'm thinking the clouds look similar to this, or similar in shape. And they cover maybe like this big of an area here. Then sometimes they can come all the way down like that. Same thing over here. And we don't need to draw clouds everywhere. Clouds are sometimes spread out. And then some parts are a little denser than the other. Maybe over here, I can just add a little bit. And maybe this one is slightly overlapping. Okay, maybe not overlapping. We have some clouds floating a little lower. And then here again. Just like this. So you can see how it's starting to fall into place. But now see, it looks like I've covered the entire thing, but when I bring it closer, you can see how it is still lines. But when you look at it from a distance, those lines automatically blend into each other. Like this. Okay, and now let me check what color this gives me. That is golden. I don't want to use golden. I have a bit of yellow over here. Okay, so I can put small patches of yellow like this. Very little, not too much. Maybe a little bit over here, and then a little bit this side. And so I'm just putting like small dots and lines. Maybe over here I can just put some dots as well. So this would be known as a suggestive drawing or a suggestive painting, because what you are doing is you're not drawing the thing, what do you say, with realistic proportions, but you're drawing a shape that is so similar to it that you think it is that shape. So let me give you an example. Okay, this is the paper I did for my last workshop. In case you missed it, this drawing is from this over here. We made this cup. Okay, so let me give you an example of what a suggestive drawing is. Now I will draw this shape here. Okay, can you tell me what I have? I'll just bring this a bit closer so you can see. Can you tell me what have I drawn over here? And I need you to answer so that you can understand this concept properly. So what have I drawn over here in this with the yellow color? Maybe over here also what I'll do is I'll just draw another shape here. Okay. So can you tell me what have I drawn over here? Well, I need an answer. So if we look at this square, okay. So you're saying I drew a square, but did I actually draw a square, or does this drawing look like a square to you? Because if I bring this closer, you can see none of the corners are connected. All I did was draw 4 lines in a different manner. And so once these two are going up, these two are going to the side. Same thing over here. This looks like a rectangle, but again, I just drew 4 lines. So I drew 4 lines over here, but I am suggesting that it is a square without having to draw a square. Whereas over here also, said circle and rectangle. Yes, these two are circles. And this also, it looks like a rectangle, but I didn't draw a rectangle. In my head, I just wanted to draw 4 lines over here, which happen to look like a rectangle. And over here, I drew 4 lines, which happen to be almost equal in length and equally distant from each other also, which happens to look like a square. So this drawing of 4 lines is suggesting, or it is putting that thought into your head that it is a square. And same thing with this, it looks like a smiley, right? You can see 2 circles and a line here. It looks like a smiley, but it is just the placement of these 2 circles and this curved line that makes it look like a smiley face. Because if you see, we do not have a head, we do not have eyes inside over here, and this line also does not look like a mouth. There's no lips, there's no creases of the cheeks, there's nothing, but it still looks like a smiley face. This looks like a square and this looks like a rectangle. So each of these are not what I just told you. They are all just lines and circles, but they are suggesting you that they are something that you want to think it is. So that's what a suggestive line or a suggestive drawing is. Same thing over here. Now there is no mountain that has so many lines like this, and with so much gap where you can see where you can see the sky behind. And same thing over here. So there are no clouds that have just lines like this. They are very fluffy, they are very full, they are a gaseous substance, and yet with an amalgamation of these 3 to 4 suggestions that I've given you, you think it is a landscape, when instead I just painted this green, painted this a little lighter green. I thought, okay, I'm going lighter, I'll put some yellow also, might as well. And then I do some purple here, some blue at the back, some white over here at the top, and this entire arrangement makes you think that, oh, that looks like a landscape. Which is why sometimes you will look at maybe like a crack in the wall, maybe a crack in the floor, or maybe some sort of dirt somewhere, and you go like, doesn't that look like a cat? Or maybe look at a cloud and you'll go like, that looks like a dog, or maybe that looks like a sausage, or maybe that looks like a plane. But it isn't, right? Because that shape is putting that suggestion in your head, or your brain is trying to make sense out of everything that you see, and automatically tries to give you answers based on your experience and based on how often you have come across it. So these are certain things that artists also do in their paintings. Sometimes you might look at it and you might not really understand what it is, but each and every stroke has an intention behind it. The same way this drawing has an intention behind it, and those 4 lines that I showed you had an intention to make you think it was a square. So that is a suggestive drawing. Okay, so we can put this here, and then for the bottom also, if you want, what we can do is, I'm trying to find the right side up. I just realized it's a circle. There is no right side up, or there is no straight. So what I can do here is, we can have maybe like a sunset on the beach. Yeah, let's say sunset on the beach. So I will take, let me look at how dark this red is. Why is it blue? Okay. Okay, I think we won't go for the sunset. But okay, we can try adding. Okay, what I'll do over here is, let's see another suggestive drawing. Of course, when you do this, you can make anything that you like. It shouldn't be what I'm doing. All I'm trying to show you is the process of how you can create one. Now, what you want to create is up to you. Okay, I'll put this there. So while I am drawing, I want you to try and guess what it is. I hope I didn't already mention what I'm about to draw. Okay. Again, so while I draw this, I want you to try and guess what I'm about to make. What else can I add here? So now what I will do is I will take a lighter color. Didn't I have 3 greens? Yeah, over here. A little bit over here like this. And then I'll take this lighter color. Like that. Okay, maybe the cloud didn't turn out the best, but over here, we'll just have this like that. So there we go. We have our bowl ready, and if you want on the inside, you can just take some paper and stick it around, the top and on the interior part as well. So I hope you got to enjoy this workshop. This is what we have created, and along with this I gave you a few extra knowledge on certain art aspects as well, like suggestive drawing. Over here also, where is that? Yeah, look at that, how nice that turned out. So I hope you enjoyed this workshop, and today in the evening we will be continuing last night's workshop on the air drying clay workshop. So I will see you all again today in the evening, and thank you so much for joining me. I will once again see you again. I'm saying again a little too many times. So take care and bye bye.